Okay, so welcome to my new video here. I'm going to try and get into this as fast as I can, but just a couple of things first. What I want to do in this video is show you how I'm going to be creating my activity pages for my KDP books, how I'm going to be creating them in Canva whilst using Instant Maze Generator software to provide some of the puzzles inside of that. Okay, so in my previous video I did a review of Instant Maze Generator, so if you want to see how that works, or if you've heard of the software and you're not quite sure how it works, then I'm going to link that in the description and you can check that out. So if the software is something that you're interested in, then you need to be aware that there are different pricing levels in terms of what you get with the software. So the base version of the software is $47 at the time of this recording, and that gives you these basic maze shapes here where we can change the complexity and change a few other things as well. Again, if you want to see this a bit more in depth, then go and check out the review that I'm going to leave in the description. Okay, so in terms of what version of the software that I'm going to be using to create my activity pages, I've upgraded to the premium version, which is the version that allows us to take images and convert them into mazes. Okay, so you're going to see all this as I go through the video and create the activity book. So the activity book, I'm going to make it in Canva. So it is possible for us to make the whole thing in Instant Maze Generator, but I do feel like Canva offers a bit more flexibility in terms of what we can design, how well centered things will be, and just things like that. Okay, so I'm going to use Canva for creating my interior. And just one more thing here with Instant Maze Generator, this is just the combination of upgrades that I'm using to create my activity books. If you decide to get the software, you might find that one of the other offers is going to be right for you and what you want with your publishing business. Okay, so you have to buy the base model first for $47, and then you can go through and decide what upgrades to attach on to that. Okay, so bear in mind at the time of recording this, the software is currently on offer during its launch phase, so that's between the 7th of this month and the 10th of this month, and when it ends it's going to increase in price. So if you are interested in it, then I highly recommend that you at least take a look after watching this video or watching my review on the product. Okay, so it's going to be a one-time payment. You're going to get it for the rest of your life with that one-time payment. Have a think about it, see what you think of me using the software in the review video and in this video, and then you can make a decision what is best for you. Okay, so let's head over to Canva now and start creating our activity book. Okay, so with most activity books, the first thing that we have here is going to be the this book belongs to page. Now if you used Canva before, then you'll know this is going to be incredibly easy to make. So the first page is going to be this book belongs to. Obviously I've just added in some text here and I've selected an appropriate font, which is Mary Kate, if anyone's interested in this font here. And then of course we have the line for the child to put their name in. So for the example that I'm using here, this isn't going to be something that I'm going to upload onto KDP because I'm going to try and go through it quite quickly in this video. But with your activity books, I urge you, even though you can create them quickly, I urge you to take a good amount of time creating something very high quality that looks better than what I'm just demonstrating. Okay, but I just want to give you an idea as to how you can create these activity books. All right, so the first thing that I want to have in my activity book, and of course the order that you do this in, the way that you present your activities is going to be down to you, but the one that I'm going to be using here and the way that I'm doing this is that I'm outsourcing my images that I want. So it's going to be coloring images that I'm going to use for kids to color in. I'm going to outsource those images. Okay, and then once I've outsourced them, I can use some of those images to come back to Instant Maze Generator and create mazes out of them. Okay, so imagine this here was something that I've had outsourced. It isn't. This is something that I've just used as a demonstration. We can take this, insert this into the software here, and then with one click we can convert that into a maze, and of course that just does the outline and creates a maze out of it. So this might not be the best example because it's just basically a round image of the owl here, but since I'm going to be targeting children for most of my activity books, the biggest feature here that I'm interested in after the image conversion feature is going to be how we can quickly change the complexity of this all the way down to something that's very, very simple for children. Okay, so let's go ahead and come up here and download this, to download the mazes as PNGs here. So I'm downloading this so that I can put this into Canva afterwards. Okay, so back to Canva, moving on to the second page of our activity book here. We're just going to upload what we've just downloaded from Instant Maze Generator. Okay, so I've just come across to upload, and then I've just uploaded the file that we just downloaded. and I can add it in here. And this is why I like Canva so much, because it really gives you, it's simple drag and drop type software. Like it's going to lock it into place. It's going to lock it into the middle of the book here, so you're not going to have any weird looking images in your interior. Okay, so let's just center this up, and then obviously if you're taking more time with your books than I am, which you definitely should be, then you can add a bit more flair to every type of puzzle that you create. So what we can do here is take the original image that we converted. So let's assume this was an image that we outsourced from Upwork or somewhere like that. We can take that image and we can add that image onto the page here, and you can do whatever you want with this. Like, and then from there we can create some text for this page. So let's use the Mary Kate option again. We can do something like this. Obviously, I've not taken much time doing this, but we can call it an owl puzzle or something like that, or an owl maze, and just play around with it, make it look a little bit wacky, make it look cool. And this is the advantage that we have over other interiors of books, is that we can create these unique mazes with Instant Maze Generator. Okay, so we can play about here. We can put the original image in, we can do what we want, optimize what we've paid for basically, and try and get the most out of all of our images that we use. And if you have the time here, I would recommend that you try and get something going on in the background as well. So when it comes to doing things in color, you need to understand that it's going to cost more in terms of production price of the book, so you're gonna have to charge more for your book as well. So doing them in black and white might be something that might interest you originally, and then from there, once you get used to creating activity books, you can then make something super awesome in color. So that's something to think about for your future. Okay, so that's one page down already, and the next thing that I want to put into this is going to be a word search. Now, I'm not going to try and recommend any more software than I have already in previous videos, but the literal software that I've been using is instantpuzzlegenerator.io, which is from the same makers that make the maze generator, and I've been using it to create my word searches. I'm going to use it to help me create my activity pages as well. So if you want to go the free route with word searches, then obviously you can do that. There are some out there, but the one that I like to use is Instant Puzzle Generator. And what I've done in Instant Puzzle Generator is created a garden bird word search here, and I've tried to change the font here to make it look a bit more playful than just a standard looking word search. And for the sake of this example, I've just put it in color just to show you the possibilities with the software that we're using here. So I've created that in Instant Puzzle Generator, I've downloaded it, and now I'm going to put it into Canva onto the next page here. Okay, so we're just going to come across to the uploads and upload this word search. Okay, so here we are. I've just uploaded the word search that we downloaded. I think that's in the center. It is. That looks great to me. This looks absolutely fantastic, and in my opinion, this stands out way more than any sort of free software or what I've seen inside other people's activity books. And again, I've created this very quickly using the Instant Puzzle Generator software. So already just creating a book that looks kind of cool, not taking much time doing it, but you can see here, if you spend more time than I have in this example, that you can create something that looks incredibly high quality in a decent amount of time too. Okay, so for our next activity in our book, I want to start doing more mazes, but I want to kind of make them a little bit more interesting than just a standard looking maze. Okay, so if we want to fill the book out and pad it out with some of these here and just change the complexity down and have them like this, we can do that. But what I want to do to make my book super unique and super targeted and in theme is to utilize the upload image option again here, the one that converts images to word searches. What I can do is upload another one of my images here. So I understand that you don't have to necessarily outsource all of these images. You can use free resources. Now, it's not for me to tell you which ones specifically, because the commercial usages is something that gets people a little bit confused. So if you know of resources that you can use to use images, and especially images that have been adjusted, I think possibly Pixabay, you might be able to adjust the image like I'm about to do here. But obviously bear this in mind before you start using other people's images, okay? But what we can do when we do have an image that we know we can use is upload it into the maze software here, and then convert this image into a maze like we did before, okay? Then again, let's drop the complexity down, make it child friendly. And then what we can do here, so let's download this image and put it into Canva. Then I'll show you what I'm going to do for some of my mazes to make them unique. Okay, so we've uploaded it into Canva here after our word search. It's kind of try and make some of these puzzles a bit more playful for children. So what we can see, we have our entry point here for the maze, and the exit point for our maze here. So to make this a little bit more fun for the child, we can kind of make it into a challenge or story type puzzle for them to do, okay? So what I'm going to be doing is adding these images into the entry point and the exit point here, okay? And then to make this a bit more playful and fun for the person that's doing it, we can make it as a kind of challenge or story, like I say, and it's going to be to help the owl find his friend, for example. So the child would have to draw from the owl, do the maze all the way down to his friend here at the bottom. And of course, let's change this to make it the same font as we did before, which was Mary Kate. And let's center that. And I want to make these a bit bigger. And then maybe we could have something like start here at the top as well. And of course, you need to play around with it until it looks good for you. Obviously, this is just a quick demonstration. But what we're doing here is we're adding variety to our activity books, okay? Okay, so next page, I'm going to try and add in some coloring pages now because that's a pretty obvious activity for a child to have in their book. Okay, so anyone that knows me from this channel, they know that I'm going to outsource probably most of my images just to be safe, just to make sure that I have something absolutely unique that I'm putting up onto Amazon that nobody else has. I'll be using Upwork.com to get my coloring images done. That is where I get all of my coloring images made. I don't use any other resource on the internet other than outsourcing unique jobs, okay? Okay, so let's just use one of my own coloring pages for example here. So we could just add this in, and then again, we're going to want to add some text on top of it. And I am aware that this probably isn't appropriate for a child's coloring in book, nor is it bird related, but just as an example here, let's use this image and pretend this is our coloring pages. Again, let's add the text again. Let's put a caption at the top here and then change it back to the Mary Kate font that we used before. Make sure it's centered. And there we go. That could be our next activity page for our book. So obviously what you can see I'm doing here is I'm just using one as an example here, but you're going to want to do like 5 of each. So if you're outsourcing coloring pages like this here, this only cost me $2 to have this image done, $2 or $3. I can't remember exactly because it was a while ago. If you're doing stuff for children, these images are going to probably be much more simple than this, and you can definitely have them done between $1 and $5 per page. So if you're doing 5 in a book, then, you know, I think that's more than enough for an activity book. So like sort of 5 activities of each activity. It's not going to cost you hardly anything at all. And if you're serious about creating a high quality book, then go and find these outsourcers that will create unique images for you. And I will say, when it comes to having unique images created for you, if you're not sure what you're getting back is yours, when you get it back, do a reverse image Google search, okay? And that way you'll see if it's been uploaded anywhere else on the internet, okay? And also, when you outsource anything, be super, super, super specific. So when I had this done, like I made sure that I said, make sure that there is an egg in the background that has an eye poking through it or something like that. That is what I said. I said I need this in there as well, and the bunny needs to have big kind of like fangs and evil looking eyes, and I made it really specific. That way, like, you know what you're getting. Is a high chance that it's going to be unique and not just taken from somewhere else. Okay, so that's coloring pages added in. I'm not happy with this page here, and I kind of a little bit embarrassed to show it off as my example, but I think you understand what I'm doing with this one here to make it a little bit more unique. Okay, so like I said a million times before, keep working on these longer than I have here. These are just examples. Okay, so next up, throughout the book, what I want to do in my books is just to throw out there a few simple mazes, okay? So not everyone is going to want their books packed with these more complex looking outlines. Like, some people are going to want just simple shapes included in their book. So we're going to use Instant Maze Generator again to do these. So let's just create a few very quickly here. Okay, going to make them pretty simple because we're doing a kid's book here. So let's just change complexity down. Again, I'm just doing this quickly. I want the walls to be a bit thinner so it looks like the rest of the book. Okay, excellent. Now let's download these. And bear in mind, as you're downloading these, you're going to be downloading these solutions as well. So make sure that you keep this organized and you know where these are, because they're going to have to go at the back of your book, okay? Okay, and what I've actually just realized here is that if we're going to be doing it this way in Canva, we need to make sure that we don't have the page numbers showing up here, because it's not going to be page 1, okay? So let's just come across to the settings here and make sure that we turn the page numbering format onto no numbering, like this here, and that's going to get rid of the page numbers. And I think I'm going to be putting the solution page numbers in myself for these books. As you can see, it's generated the page numbers here for the solutions as well. we can just turn them off, and then when it comes to downloading them, we're just going to get the raw looking image of the maze and the solutions as well. Okay, so let's download them. Okay, so let's add these mazes now into Canva, as I've done here, onto separate pages. Now, if you want to make your book have a little bit more variety in it, when you're creating these mazes, you can make this one here. You could make this one harder. So let's assume that we did this originally. We made it harder like this one here. To give our customer lots of variety, we can change the complexity of these mazes and then advertise them as such. So, you know, we could have a super duper hard maze here, for example, assume that it is more complex than this. And then on the next one here, we could have this as the easy peasy maze, for example. I'm not sure how to spell peasy. And then if you were creating that in this software here, you could change that to something that was much easier, like this maybe, or maybe a little bit harder than that, something like that. And then call that the easy peasy maze. And then on this one, this could be the middle ground maze. So maybe I've not done this in the most logical order, but you understand what I'm doing here. Okay, so we're starting to really pack out our activity book here with a variety of different puzzles. And I still really hate this one here, but let's keep it in just for example. Okay, so I'm liking how it's looking, but I think I want to have more word searches in it as well. So if anyone wants to use a free word search generator, the one that other YouTubers have been recommending is the word search generator UWP. It's a free one. You need to make sure that you have commercial usage before you use anything like this. So if you decide to use a free one, then obviously you need to prepare for, you know, some of the headache that comes with using free stuff. So this isn't really my recommendation. It is just an option that other people have recommended if you want to go the free route. Again, I'm using Instant Puzzle Generator to do mine, and I've just quickly made another word search here. And I'm just going to edit it very quickly. Just really quickly going to do this and download this one and use it as our next puzzle. Okay, let's add this one in quickly and make it the same size as the other one. So I just want to make sure I get them the right size here. So I'm going to go back to this one here and just overlap this one with the new one. So let's just add that in, and this is what's so good about Canva. It kind of just knows where things are. Okay, so that's kind of the same dimensions here. And let's take this down to our next page. Okay, make sure it's centered, which it is. And then there's our next puzzle, okay? Okay, really filling it out, really looking good. Still hate this one, but I think the rest are looking pretty good. And again, if you want to make this more in theme with what you're doing, so if it was a bird activity book, for example, for kids, then, you know, on these kind of blander looking ones, and you could have graphics of birds flying around or things like that, okay? You just need to be a little bit more, just be a little bit creative with it and see what you can come up with. Okay, so next up, I'm going to give you an example of a spot the difference page that we can do. Okay, so when it comes to using images in your books, you'll find that, especially if you've been listening to this whole thing through, that I'm not quite sure what to recommend in terms of it, because for me, I outsource pretty much everything because that's what I'm comfortable with. If you do have a resource where you can get images that you know you have commercial usage for, then do that. You know, if that's what you are, if you know what to do there, if that's what you're about, then do that, okay? But for me, like, I don't want to tell anyone to go to a certain place and then you find out that you don't actually have commercial usage for those images, okay? Okay, so what I've done here is I've grabbed another image that, let's assume that we've either found this image and we have commercial usage for it, or we've outsourced this image and had it created. So if we had it outsourced, then the likelihood is that it's going to be in black and white. And again, I can't decide for you if you want to do a colored book, a colored activity book or not. So if you're not doing colored, then you can just change this to grayscale. So you can click it and then just come to filter here and click on grayscale. And then what we can do for our spot the difference page is just to copy and paste that. Control C, Control V. Have two images on the same page here. So let's add like a dotted line here off of Canva or something like that. This will do for now. And then just add some text, have circle the differences or something like that. Go back to Mary Kate. And then what we can do is just zoom in onto the second image here. Then just come up to effects, then come to background remover. And then this is going to allow you to remove certain parts of this image, okay? So we click that, it's going to zoom in for us. We can just scrub this out here. So it is important which type of file that you have here. So I think this is a PNG that gives us the transparent background that allows us to do this. But we can just remove a certain couple features from the penguin here. Let's just do just do 2 or 3 for this example. Again, take your time on this. I want to get rid of one of these lines on his scarf as well. Let's just change the brush size so we can get in there and do this. Whoops. Okay, that'll do for now. Then we can just click on done. Okay, and there we have it. There we would have the changed image on the bottom here. I'm not sure, I think I've forgotten to turn this one into grayscale, but you understand what I've done here. We have the second image there, the child can circle, and then of course at the end you're going to need to have the solution for this, so you could just have this picture and then just create some circles where the differences are and have that on the back where your solutions are, okay? Okay, so I'm going to start going through this a little bit quicker now because I think this video is going to be extremely long. So if anyone watched my last video, I did a sort of trace your finger type of activity as well, which looked terrible the way that I did it, but I did show off an example of what that was. And it's something, if we take a little bit of time, a little bit of thought, we can easily create in Canva as well. So basically it's going to be, and I'm just going to use the same images here just to save us from time. You're going to start with something like a baby and then an adult, and then you're going to have a line in between where the child traces their finger to get from one to the next, okay? And for these, you can have multiple of these on each page. I'm just going to do one as an example here. So if we type in dotted line here, there are actually a few elements on Canva that we can use for some of these, like this here. So something like that, where the child would just put their finger on and just dun all the way to the parent at the end here. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to leave it at that for this activity because I think you understand what I'm doing here. You need to make yours look nicer and dress the page up and make it look cool. But that's just another very quick activity you can put into your book and pad it out and make it look and give like a ton of value to your customer. Okay, so that's just 11 pages here, and it's just an example of how you can create these really quickly in Canva. If you have other things that you can put into your activity book, then absolutely do that. There are a few other things that you can do. So another easy one to make is going to be word scrambles. And again, let's not take too much time because you can work this out very, very quickly yourself. So this is just the one where they have to unscramble the word and write down what the unscrambled word is. So it's going to be, let's say penguin, for example. Let's just scramble that word up. So I think that's all the letters there. So that's penguin. Just delete the original. Again, let's have our title as something playful. Unscramble these unscramble these birds. Penguin. Okay, so then obviously you would do that for a few more of these. Sake of time, I'm not going to do it. Okay, so let's leave that one at that. You understand what's going on here. You just do different names, scramble them up, and have the right hand side where they can write down the unscrambled word. So that's just another simple activity you can include in your books. And again, so easy to do. It's going to give even more value to your customer, even more variety. And look, we're really starting to pack out an activity book from just a couple bits of software and using Canva. Okay, so for each of these, you can have like 3 or 4 or 5 different versions of them. And then it's going to pack out your book and you're going to have like 40 or 50 pages inside. Obviously, you can go more than that. The more you can do, the better. Anyway, up to 80, 90 pages, up to you. And of course, it's going to take you longer to do it than I've done it here. And then once you've done that, once your interior of your book is complete and you're happy with it, you can come to download it as a PDF print. And then we can add this into our listings, okay? So regarding your book cover, I'm just going to give a real quick example of what I would do when it comes to the cover. So let's assume that you've had a really cool cover made here. This is your book cover. Ignore that. We're looking at the back here. And what I'm going to be doing for my books is giving the customer a preview of what they're going to be getting inside. And I think this is quite important because some people don't use the look inside feature. They'll just look at the images on Amazon, which is going to be the front cover and the back cover. And if your back cover has samples of how awesome looking your book is, the customer is going to be more excited to buy it from you, okay? So what we can do is start downloading some of the puzzles from our book. So let's take this one here, for example, that page number 2. Download page number 2, which is this one here. Actually, let's take a few. So we want the ones that look really cool. So page 2, page 3, and page 5. So 2, 3, and 5, for example. All right, let's download them. And what we can do from here is to start uploading them onto the back cover of our book, okay? So let's start getting these in here to give our customer a sample of what they're going to be getting. And with Canva, we can, as you can see here, what I'm doing to make them all the same size, you can just, so watch the top right here. As I drag it up, it's going to lock on to that one there. And then as we drag it in, it's going to start locking on when it hits there as well. Okay, so we know that they're all the same size here. That's why we're using Canva. And then we need to line up properly. Again, take your time doing this. Okay, let's assume that that is lined up. And then you can just download your book cover as a PDF print. Okay, so we can upload the manuscript that we created in Canva and then upload the book cover that we had outsourced or created in Canva as well. Okay, so once you've uploaded them into your book description here, you can go through the previewer and check to make sure that everything looks good to you. Obviously, I've gone ahead and I put this one in black and white, so that's why these don't look in color, obviously. And as we go through, everything looking really nice here. It's looking the way that I wanted it, and we've just done this from using a couple bits of software, some free resources. We've used Canva, and here we are already creating an activity book. And for anyone that's concerned about the errors that are coming up on the side here, it's because I've done a couple things wrong. As you can see here on the ones that I rushed toward the end here, it's ever so slightly outside of the lines that you're allowed here, very, very slightly. So that means the book can't be approved because it is just outside. So obviously I would have gone back and I would change that. But I don't know, I think we're looking really good here. I love how these softwares work together. The way that I'm doing it here is sort of a mixture of paid software, outsourcing, and free. Keeping the cost reasonably low, but bear in mind that if we are using Instant Maze Generator to do the mazes, I did use an upgraded version, so that's the premium one, which costs an extra $67 on top of the $47 as well. If this is something that interests you, it's going to be, this offer is going to be ending on the 10th of July, so very, very soon it's going to be going up in price. Now for me, I think it's worth it. You get this as a one-time payment and you get to use this software for the rest of your publishing journey for as long as that is, for as many years as that is. You're always going to be using this. You can create tons and tons of activity books, high quality ones, obviously. And the great thing here is that, as you can see, we can actually create these quite quickly and still keep that quality really high. So imagine what you can create if you spent like a week or 2 weeks on one of these projects, and all the way up to Q4 now. How many different types of these books can you get out there? Okay, so just to finish this video off, just to reiterate, there are different versions of Instant Maze Generator, okay? So if you go into the sales page in the description below, click that link, and then scroll through all the way to the bottom where the FAQ is. From there, you can see what you're getting with different versions of this software, okay? So the one that I've used is Instant Maze Generator Premium. That's the one that I recommended in my review of the product. You need to decide what you want to get, if anything, and just make sure you understand each step of the way what you're actually getting when you pay for different upgrades, okay? So for anyone that gets the Maze Generator software through me and the link in my description here, you're going to get my activity book niche list that is going to be sent to your email very, very soon after you purchase. So this is my niche list that I've done myself, my own personal research, one that I had no plan on releasing to anybody. But if you buy through me, you will get that list sent to you. And just a quick disclaimer, if you do decide to buy through my affiliate link in the description, I will receive a commission for you doing so. So if that sways your decision whatsoever in either way, just bear that in mind when making that decision. Okay, so that's it for now. In upcoming videos, I'm going to be taking a look at some low content Q4 niches that you can get involved with, okay? So make sure that you tune in for those videos as well. And I'll see you very soon.